Let me tell you about this crazy day I had. I am Julia, by the way, just a regular 16-year-old girl trying to survive high school and keep my grades up. So there I was in my classroom. The air smelled like dusty chalk and old floor wax. I was gripping my pen tightly, feeling totally stressed out as I rushed to finish my math assignment before the teacher walked in. Suddenly, an angry voice scared me. I jumped in my seat. I looked at the door. It was Katie. Katie is my sister, but we haven't gotten along well lately. She looked so mad, her face was totally red. She was dragging a boy named Ben into the room. Ben is just a guy from our school. He looked really uncomfortable. Katie pulled him right up to me. She yelled and asked why I hid a letter that Ben sent her. I was so surprised and I felt really annoyed. I told her she was acting crazy. I reminded her that I already gave her the letter. I also reminded her about what she said before. She said Ben was too ordinary for her anyway. Katie immediately started crying. Tears rolled down her face. She called me a terrible liar. Ben tried his best to calm her down. But it was too late. The whole class was watching us. I could hear everyone whispering. My cheeks felt super hot. I was so mad because I didn't do anything wrong. I couldn't take it anymore. I just grabbed my bag, turned around, and angrily walked right out of the classroom. I walked fast down the corridor. I felt so angry. I kept thinking about Katie. We used to be so close when we were younger, but then everything changed. Now she just tries to start fights with me all the time. I kept walking down the hall. Then I saw a group of friends. They are from my dance club. I felt so relieved. I really needed my friends right then. Dancing is the only thing that makes me feel better. We started talking and laughing. We were walking to our practice room, but then someone stopped us. It was a very stern voice. It was Max. Max is my older. He looked at me and told me to go back to class immediately. He reminded me that finals week was coming soon. I told him there was no way I was going back. I explained how Katie just embarrassed me in front of everyone, but Max did not listen. He told me to stop making excuses. Then he grabbed my arm. He literally dragged me back down the hall. Max is so overbearing. He always asks where I am going. He constantly tells me to come home early to do my homework. Sometimes he even tells me to change my clothes because my dress is too short. I am 16 years old. I am not a little kid anymore, but he always treats me like one. The worst part is that he transferred to my school this semester. He just wants to watch every single thing I do. It is really hard to deal with. Later that day, I went home. I felt completely exhausted, but my bad day was not over yet. My dad was standing in the living room. He was holding my report card in his hand and looked very serious. I tried to defend myself. I told him that those math equations were just too hard to remember. I told him I really tried my best. But before my dad could say anything, Katie walked in. She was waving her phone. She looked so smug. She asked if I really tried. Then she said my bad grades were because I skipped school to go dancing. I looked at her phone screen. I saw a bunch of pictures of me practicing my dance moves. I felt a knot in my stomach, but then I decided to just be brave. I wanted to finally tell my parents about my real passion. I started to say that I wanted to pursue dancing instead of just studying, but my mom cut me off right away. She looked really panicked. She kept glancing at my dad. She told me that studying was the only way to succeed. Then my dad spoke up. He said he did not care what else I did as long as my grades got better. He told me I needed to learn from Max and Katie. All they ever talk about is studying. I felt so lost. I ran upstairs as fast as I could. I went into my room and closed the door hard. I stood there crying. Then I heard footsteps outside my door. It was my mom. I heard her whispering. She told me to never mention dancing again. She called it a silly hobby and said it would not do me any good. My chest hurt so much. She does not know anything about me. She is not even my real mom. I opened my desk drawer. I took out an old faded family photo. I looked at it and the tears blurred my vision. Max and I are adopted. If my real mom and dad were still alive, they would understand. They would not stop me from following my dream. But life is so unfair. Our real parents died 10 years ago in a car crash. Max and I lived in an orphanage for a while. Then we were adopted by the people I call mom and dad now. My adoptive dad is a biology professor. My adoptive mom is a housewife. And Katie is their biological daughter. After crying in my room that whole night, I barely slept. My mind was just racing with everything that had happened. The next morning, I was dragging my feet across the schoolyard. I felt so exhausted, just like a zombie. The sun was too bright and my eyes felt heavy. All of a sudden, a tall guy bumped hard right into me. My shoulder really hurt from the impact. He looked so worried and started apologizing to me over and over again. He explained that he was not paying attention because he was watching a video on his phone. He turned his screen to show me. I looked at it and I could not believe it. It was a video of my dance club that I had posted online the day before. We started talking right away. He told me his name was Daniel. He explained that he was a new transfer student, but he was already a huge fan of our dance team. He seemed really sweet. We were standing there watching another dance video together when a message popped up at the top of his screen. It asked if he was free tomorrow night. I glanced at the small picture next to the message. It was my sister Katie. I felt so annoyed. Why does she have to be everywhere? Anyway, I said goodbye to Daniel and hurried down the hallway to our practice room. I was so excited to tell my friends about our new big fan. When I walked in, I smiled and waved at them, but they just turned their backs on me. It felt so cold and weird. I asked them what was wrong. One of my friends looked really sad. She asked if I knew what happened, and then she told me that my mom called everyone yesterday and demanded that we break up the club. Another girl looked super angry. She said my mom even blamed them for being a bad influence and keeping me away from my study. Then she told me to stay away from them from now on. They all packed up their things and walked out of the room, leaving me standing there completely alone. I was in shock. My mom actually said that? I kept wondering how she even got their phone numbers. Just then, Katie walked by the open door. She looked at me with a fake sweet smile. She said she was the one who gave my friends' phone numbers to our mom. She even made a joke about how well they got along and winked at me. Katie again. I do not even know why I was surprised. I was breathing heavily as I angrily stomped out into the hallway after her. But then I stopped. Down the hall, I saw Daniel walking towards her. He smiled and waved at Katie as they passed each other. She instantly changed her attitude and acted all cute and flirty with him. I rolled my eyes so hard, but right at that moment, a brilliant idea popped into my head. I smiled to myself, thinking about how my sister was going to pay for what she did. I waited for Katie to walk away. Then I quickly ran over to Dan. He looked happy to see me again. I started chatting with him, and it was so easy to pull him into my little trap. I casually mentioned the new dinosaur movie that everyone was talking about. I told him I really wanted to watch it, but I did not have anyone to go with. He looked surprised and said he was actually planning to see that exact movie this weekend. Then he suggested that we should go together. I felt a huge wave of victory inside. It worked perfectly. I looked at him, but I was thinking about my sister. She took away my dance club, the one thing I truly love. Now I was going to do the same thing to her. That Saturday night finally arrived. I was wearing my favorite dress. I walked into the dark movie theater. The air was cool and smelled strongly of buttered popcorn. I looked around for Daniel, but he was not there yet. I decided to just go inside and find my seat first. I walked down the dim aisle and was just about to sit down when I froze. Katie was sitting right in the very next seat. She looked at me with wide eyes. She demanded to know what on earth I was doing there. I smiled to myself in the dark. I thought it was perfect that my prey walked right into my trap all by herself. But before I could even explain my presence, she jumped up. She pointed her finger at me and loudly accused me of stalking. She said I was trying to ruin her date. I was so mad I yelled back at her. We argued so loudly that people started shushing us. Finally, a theater staff member came over and kicked both of us out. A few days went by. Daniel and I agreed to meet up again. We went to a cute little cafe that he picked out. But guess what? As soon as I walked in, I saw Katie again. She was sitting right at the next table. She kept checking in her phone like she was waiting for someone. I felt my blood boil. I walked right over to her. I stared down at her defiantly. I told her she was acting desperate by always trying to be a third wheel. Her face turned bright red, but she could not think of a single thing to say back to me. I felt like I won that round. I proudly walked back to my table and sat down across from Dan. But suddenly, something felt wet and sticky underneath me. I stood up and looked at my chair. There was bright red ketchup everywhere, and now it was all over my beautiful dress. I snapped my head around. Katie was covering her mouth and laughing at me. My vision went completely red. I lost all my self-control. I lunged across the space between us and grabbed her. We fell to the floor and started fighting right there in the middle of the cafe. Well, you can probably guess what happened next. We ended up at the police station. We sat there waiting for our parents to bail us out. The second our mom walked through the door, Katie started her fake crying routine. She sobbed loudly and told our mom that I was trying to steal away the love of her life. I felt absolutely sick to my stomach. I could not stand being near either of them for one more second. I grabbed Daniel by the hand and we walked out the door together. We were not even that far from the station when Max appeared out of nowhere. He blocked our path and looked furious. He glared at Daniel and warned him to stay away from me. Daniel did not look scared at all. He just stood there looking totally indifferent. He calmly asked Max why he should do that. Before I could even blink, Max pulled back his arm and punched Daniel right in the face. Daniel fell hard to the ground. I screamed in terror. I asked Max what he was doing. I desperately tried to explain that Katie was the one who kept following us and making trouble, but Max just shook his head. He firmly told me that Katie was just a victim in all of this. He demanded that I stop seeing Daniel immediately. I felt so betrayed now. Even my own brother was taking Katie's side. I bent down, helped Daniel get back on his feet, and walked away with him. I could hear Max calling my name from behind us, but I refused to look back. The next day at school, things just got weirder. I was putting my heavy books into my metal lock. I closed the door and saw Max and Katie walking down the hallway together. They were standing really close and whispering to each other. They looked like they were sharing a big secret. It honestly hurt my feelings. Max was acting like Katie was his real sister, not me. But then I took a deep breath. I told myself that it was fine. If he was busy with her, maybe it meant he would finally stop watching my every move. But Katie still would not leave me alone. There were so many times when she just squeezed right between Daniel and me. She would laugh loudly with him and act like I did not even exist. It was so frustrating. Another time, Daniel and I were just about to kiss. Suddenly, Katie jumped out of nowhere. She shoved a concert ticket into Daniel's hand, and then the two of them just walked away together. I was left standing there completely alone, feeling so furious. I felt a little sad realizing this, but honestly, it was no longer about taking revenge on Katie anymore. I actually felt really happy when I was with Daniel. He seemed to want to be with me too, but deep down, I kept wondering why he did not just reject Katie. Then a smile crept back onto my face. I remembered that at least it was me he invited to the prom this Friday, not her. When prom night finally came, I excitedly put on my prom dress, curled my hair, and did my nail. Everything was all set. Daniel would be here soon. I grabbed the handle to go downstairs, but it would not move. It was locked from the outside. My parents were on vacation, so it had to be my cruel siblings doing this to me. I immediately called my parents on my phone, hoping they would help, but my mom just scolded me. She said I should not even be thinking about prom, considering how bad my grades had been lately, and she told me to stay home and study. Right at that moment, I heard the sound of a car engine outside. I ran to the window, looked down, and my heart sank. I saw Katie getting right into Daniel's car. I ran back, banged my hands on the door, and yelled for someone to let me out. But only Max's voice came from the hallway outside. He calmly told me that the guy was not good at all, and he told me to just leave this situation to him and Katie. Tears rolled down my face. I cried and asked him through the door why he was on her side and not mine. I asked why everyone in the family was turning their back on me. I felt like such an outsider in this family. So from then on, I did my best to ignore them all. Later, when my parents came back from their trip, Max and Katie gathered around them in the living room. I just walked right past them without saying a word. Then I stayed silently in my room, totally ignoring Max calling me from outside the door. I also tried ignoring Daniel. My phone rang and I hung up on him, but he kept calling many times. So finally, I picked up. I told him that he must have the wrong number because I was not Katie. He pretended not to understand and asked me what was wrong. I sarcastically reminded him that he had left me all alone and gone to the prom with my sister. He quickly explained that when he arrived at my house, Katie was already outside waiting for him. According to him, she lied and said I had already left for the prom with my friend. He told me he looked for me everywhere and was thinking about me the whole time he was at the party. Gosh, Katie was really taking things too far. I felt bad that even my poor Daniel had to put up with her cruel trick. Then his voice got really soft. He asked what he could do to make me feel better. He suggested we go on a road trip and spend the whole weekend together, just the two of us. Honestly, all I needed was his sweet voice to make all my anger fade away. My attitude completely changed. I excitedly told him that I would love that, adding that I was so sick and tired of being stuck in that nightmare house. Being alone with Daniel felt amazing. We drove for about 2 hours, watching the trees pass by. Then we pulled up at a highway gas station to take a break. He smiled and told me to go inside and pick out anything I wanted from the store. He winked and said the whole trip was on him because he had to make it up to his princess. I felt my cheeks get hot. I kept thinking about how lucky I was to get such a wonderful boyfriend. I went inside the convenience store, grabbed a bunch of junk food, and sat at a small table. I happily stuffed my face with snacks while I waited for Daniel to come back from the restroom. But time kept passing. I wondered what was taking him so long. I finally stood up to go outside and look for him, but the cashier suddenly stopped me. He told me I had not paid for the food yet. He also said my friend had left something for me. He handed me a bunch of papers. One of them was a handwritten note. It said it was a surprise and my first life lesson. He told me not to be so gullible. The note ended by saying that if I wondered why I deserved this, I should ask my lovely brother Matt. Dan signed it. I stared down at the other papers in my shaking hand. They were receipts. He had grabbed so many random expensive things, including 5 huge boxes of soda, and the total came to hundreds of dollars. I stood there completely frozen. I asked myself if this was even real. I could not believe this was the same guy I was deeply in love with just a few seconds ago. I was on the verge of completely breaking down and crying, but I still had this huge bill to pay. I panicked, wondering where I could get the money for all of it. I thought about calling my family for help, but I immediately changed my mind. There was no way I was going to do that. I could already imagine Max scolding me, my parents nagging me about being irresponsible, and Katie giving me that scornful look of her. So I went back to the cashier and begged the store owner to let me work there to pay back the huge bill. I tried to convince myself it was not so bad, since at least I would not have to go back home. But working there was a total disaster. I just kept messing everything up. First, I clogged the slushy machine and sticky sugared ice spilled all over the floor. Then, while I was trying to clean that up, I completely knocked over the sunglasses display stand. On top of that, I kept getting confused and constantly gave the customers the wrong change. I realized that maybe if I had paid more attention in my math classes, it would not have been this bad. I really tried my best to do everything right, but all I did was create more trouble for the store instead of paying back what I owed. Eventually, the owner lost his patience and kicked me out. And so I ended up sitting alone at a dark bus stop. I had no idea where to go or who to call. I started thinking about my life with my family back home, and my eyes filled with tears. I wished things were different. Suddenly, bright headlights flashed in my eyes. A familiar car slowly pulled up and stopped right in front of me. It was my dad. He rushed out of the car with so much joy on his face. He wrapped his arms around me in a tight, warm hug. He told me everyone had been frantically searching for me everywhere. He sounded so relieved and said he was just glad I was okay. Then he softly asked why I scared them like that. I completely broke down. I choked back my tears and apologized to him. I finally confessed that dancing was my only true passion, but I was so sure he would never accept it. My dad looked completely surprised by my confession. His face softened, and he gently told me that he would never stop me from pursuing something I truly loved. He admitted that he had only pushed me so hard because he used to think I was just making up excuses for being lazy with my schoolwork. I was so startled by his word. Right at that exact moment, another car pulled over to the side of the road. The doors opened and out stepped Max, my mom, and even Katie. Max ran over to me looking incredibly worried. He yelled, asking what I was doing out here. He was so panicked, telling me that if I kept acting up and causing trouble like this, Mom and Dad would definitely kick us out of the house. My parents looked at him in total shock. My dad asked Max why he would ever think such a terrible thing. Max finally calmed down. He looked down at the ground hesitantly. He explained to them that he knew how seriously they took education, which was why he always tried his absolute best at school. He said that since he and I were just adopted, he always felt like we had to prove we were good enough to stay in the family. Suddenly, Katie spoke up. She confessed that she was actually adopted too. She said she had overheard Mom and Dad talking about it once a long time ago. Ever since that day, she lived in constant fear that they would end up loving me more than her and eventually throw her out on the street. I was so surprised. I looked at her and realized my cruel sister was just as scared and insecure as I was. My mom walked over with tears shining in her eyes. She wrapped her arms around both Katie and me, pulling us into a warm hug. She confirmed that they had adopted all three of us. She promised that this did not change a single thing. We were all their children. They loved us equally, and their only wish was for us to care for and look out for each other. Wow, this was all just way too much information to take in at once. My emotions were completely all over the place, and I honestly did not know whether I should smile or cry. My dad looked at all of us with a gentle, loving smile. He said that secrets only make families misunderstand one another, so he asked us to promise that from now on, we would not hide anything from each other ever again. Hearing that, my mom looked nervously at my dad. She apologized to him and said that she needed to share one last secret that she had been keeping to herself for all these years. It turned out that my adoptive mom was actually my and Max's biological dad's ex-girlfriend. After our real parents died in that accident, she was the one who immediately offered to take Max and me in. My adoptive dad never knew the full story behind that. He only knew that his wife had an ex-boyfriend who was a professional dancer. My mom explained that she was terrified my dad would find out about our true identity, get jealous or angry. That was the real reason she tried so hard to hide my dancing talent. She thought my dancing would give the secret away. She told my dad she never expected him to be so generous and understanding about everything. My dad just smiled gently at her, forgiving her instantly for keeping it a secret. Then he pulled all five of us into a warm group hug. After that group hug on the side of the dark road, we wiped away our tears and finally got into the car. Max was driving us, and Katie and I sat comfortably together in the back seat. I looked out at the passing streetlights. It felt so amazing to know that all our problems were finally resolved. Our family peace was completely restored, and my heart felt so light. I realized how much I truly missed our home and my warm bed. But as I watched the night sky, my smile slowly changed into a sneaky grin. I knew it was not quite time to go back home and rest just yet. We had one last task to do together. We needed to expose Daniel. At that time, Katie and Max finally explained everything to me. It turned out that Daniel used to be my brother's best friend from his old high school. Daniel completely misunderstood my brother's close friendship and thought it was romantic love. When Max gently rejected him, Daniel felt like a total fool. He got incredibly angry and started causing terrible problems for Max. That was the real reason my brother transferred to our school this semester. But Daniel was obsessed, so he followed him there. Daniel knew exactly how much Max loved his two sisters, so he deliberately approached both Katie and me. He played all those cruel cruel, manipulative tricks just to make us resent each other and tear our family apart. Katie told me that after our trip to the police station, Max finally told her the whole truth. That was when they started working on a secret plan to expose him. We managed to find out who Daniel's current partner was. We invited him to meet us at a local diner. We sat down across from him and told him every single awful thing his boyfriend had done to our family. Needless to say, his partner was absolutely furious. He finished his relationship with Daniel right then and there. But he did not stop there. He went ahead and exposed Daniel's true ugly face to the entire school. Facing a huge barrage of criticism and dirty looks from everyone in the hallways, Daniel got really scared. He came crawling to us, apologized to all three of us, and desperately promised to make up for everything he had ruined. You know, looking back at this whole crazy mess, I realized something really important. Secrets do not protect the people you love. They just build invisible walls between them. For so long, we were all living under the same roof, but we felt completely alone. We were so scared of not being good enough. But the moment we finally opened up and shared our true selves, even the scary part, that was when we truly became a real family. I learned that blood does not make a family, but honesty, acceptance, and choosing to love each other every single day do. Honestly, I do not even care about Daniel or his silly revenge anymore, because right now my heart feels so full. I have parents who actually support my dreams, a brother and sister who have my back, and I can finally dance in the light instead of hiding in the shadows. What else could a girl possibly need? I just smile to myself, feeling so incredibly grateful. After all the tears and the heartbreak, my life is finally exactly how it is supposed to be.